everybody, and welcome back to 321 Go. My name is Ben Barber. I am your host for this show. Today, once again, we are spotlighting someone who does a tremendous amount of good in their community. My guest today is Sarah Magni. Not only does she do a lot of good in her community in Canada, in Ontario, I believe, outside of Toronto or in Toronto. I'm not sure. It's been a while. But not only does she do a lot of good in that community, but she does a lot of good just in the theater community as a whole. And I'm so proud and happy to know her and the wonderful work that she's doing at Thatz Showbiz. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Magni. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Ben.
Not hey Siri. Not hey Siri. Hey, Sarah. Siri, knock it off.
Perfect.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
No.
Hello. I'm fine.
Did you hear that?
I did. Hello. I'm fine. It's incredible.
Hello, Miss Magni. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I've been better because I'm apparently at war with my MacBook.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I hear that. I'm always at war with technology. It's a thing. So.
Oh, I need to find. At some point during this, I will find the Sarah using technology.
Oh yes.
So I did not do a great job of hyping you up as much as I should have before I brought you on. Tell people who you are and what you do and where you're from.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah, and I always like to shout out Ben, who pronounces my name correctly. I'm used to saying Magni because I just adapted that over the years, but it is Sarah Magni. I live in Toronto, and I run a theater company just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And my theater company is called Thatz Showbiz Theater Project. We use theater to educate, empower, and ignite social change. We work on flipping the paradigm on whose stories get told by who, really working on working with folks who have been traditionally underrepresented on our stages and who have been underserved by theater education in general. And our main focus is working with youth and adults who are neurodivergent and or have intellectual disabilities.
You are, I believe strongly, fundamentally changing the way that theater is perceived and opening it up to a new opportunity to help so many other people who benefit so greatly. Like everybody benefits greatly from theater and from the community aspect of it, and especially the communities and the people who you have really opened the theater to. And like sometimes this conversation gets weird because opening the theater to a certain demographic of people sounds like the dumbest statement ever, because theater is something that should be all inclusive and should, but there are so many things in life that you don't realize were so non-inclusive until something starts to be done about it. And that's something that you have fundamentally changed my viewpoints on, and something that I've seen firsthand that really, really, really affects those kids in a positive way, and the adults, and I think, and the families too. Like I love what you do. I could not be a bigger fan of you, and Thatz Showbiz. So thank you on behalf of everybody who's ever stepped foot on a stage or wanted to tell a story, because everyone should have that opportunity. And the work that you are all doing there is fantastic.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You and I met each other 15 years ago, almost to the day. So
we always have this conversation. So what are we doing on our anniversary today, Ben?
I know. So today is actually today when we're recording this actually is Dave's birthday.
Yay! Happy birthday, Dave.
He might be able to hear you. He's upstairs having a date night. So but I loved it, and honestly, like I made a hand. We didn't stay for too long. At the acting school in New York City. Uh, Dave and I did not stay too long. We made a handful of friends, and by a handful of friends, I mean mainly two. Um, but you were one of them, and honest to God, like if I got nothing out of that school, uh I Dave and I both agree with this. I think it was worth the $60,000 just to know you and to be able to be affected by the wonderful work that you're doing. What was your journey to starting? Like, when did you fall in love with theater? Why did you move to a different country to go to college for theater? And then, and then what brought you back home and to start this organization?
Oh, wow. So, well, thank you for all of that, by the way. That was so lovely. I love being on your show. I just get to hear how wonderful I am. Sorry that my dog is so needy.
That's
Um,
okay. And the dog's name for
Shakespeare,
everyone?
of course. um, so I think I would, well, I mean, I had always been performing as a kid, which is what you always hear from people who go into the theater. But the main thing was I was a weird kid. I was always a weird kid. I always had a hard time finding a space that was for me. Um, and I started to find that in theater spaces. I was like, "Oh wow, these are my people." I went to an arts high school and I'm so grateful that I went to an arts high school. Um and yeah, it was just like really cool to like see yourself and find yourself in other people. I know that that's not everybody's experience. And so I think that that was the main thing, was just like finding a community that was similar, and being able to tell stories and tell other people's stories, and get to do justice to that. And it's like so lovely. And so yeah, so I went to an arts high school, whatnot. And then when I was auditioning for colleges, I mean, you know, you always have like, if you want to be on Broadway, it's like, yeah, that's your thing. Like if you see, and I was doing musical theater. I'd started off as a singer, really. I was doing opera and all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of made the switch, and I was like, because I kept getting feedback when I would perform opera. I would do like competitions and stuff, and they would be like, wow, this is some of the best acting we've ever seen. But I would never win for the opera because they'd be like, wow, like you really can act. And I was like, okay, well, what else can I do that I can sing and act? And I was like, oh, there's this musical theater thing. And at the time, like Toronto's really quite good now, but at the time there wasn't a whole lot of programming here. And so I was like, all right, let me like audition for stuff in New York City. I got in, and then I went to school there. I lived there for like 6 years. It was like super, super fun. Incredible place to be. And so that's I think that was your first question, was it?
It was my first and second question.
Okay.
My first and second question: what got you into theater, and then why did you move to a different country? I
Yes.
mean, it's only like 8 hours, right? Like it's not that.
Yeah, it's very close. If you take a flight, it's not even an hour. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're very close for sure.
However, it is technically a different country, and I'm sure that you had a lot of extra steps to getting to go to school than I did.
Yes.
Um, so and then you spent 6 years in New York City, um, and and then you return home to start this program. What was the inspiration for that?
I feel like I get this question a lot, and I just feel like there was inspiration kind of all over the place. But I was like, yeah, I want to bring back what I've learned home. It really felt like that. Um, but also just like that showbiz quickly started to evolve because it was starting to become a place, like the spaces that I had, you know, been through, that where people that didn't fit in were able to come together and kind of tell their stories, and tell stories together, and be seen and heard and understood. And there's these friendships, like we're gonna go on 10 years next year. There's friendships that have been built across age, across life experience, that have still to this day, like I have students who have graduated university and who are like getting married and stuff like that. It's kind of wild. And to this day, still have these friendships that they built at Thatz Showbiz. And so I started to be like, I started to have moments of like, I started to critique the theater. I was like, this space, um, I was very lucky that it was a safe space for me, but I started to realize it wasn't a safe space for everybody. And I was like, but it needs to be, because it's like, when it can be, it's literally the safest space on earth. And so it's so unfortunate that people that could really benefit from a space like this are not getting this theater training, and also this opportunity to connect with community. We do a lot of devised theater as well, telling our own stories in our own way, which is like really, really super crucial. It has been the whole game changing thing for me. That kind of work has been super, super powerful and exciting. And so it just needed to happen. It just felt like a real necessity. And I felt like also we've just been underutilizing theater this whole time. And I was like, I love this thing and I want to fall in love with this thing again. I was a little bit jaded. I was going for auditions and whatever. And I was like, I don't want to be in Beauty and the Beast on a cruise ship. That's fine. Like, for anybody who does, like, that's literally amazing. And like, I would watch it every day. But I was like, I'm not connecting to this. And like, what am I doing? And I was like, do I actually hate this? And I was like, no, I don't hate this. I just want to see it do something else.
I completely agree. My teacher actually, my acting teacher, like my main acting teacher, whatever class that was at school, when we did like our semester review, where like they pulled you aside and talked to you about like what you can do better and stuff, he was like, you should go home. He was like, you're great. You're great. You're doing, like, you're one of my favorite actors in the class. But you should go home. Like, you clearly have something else that, like, like, this is a little bit of an actor factory. And if you want to go be an extra on Broadway for a few years, this is a great place for you to be. But if you want to like do some stuff on your own, like, you should leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you. And he gave me a lot of wonderful advice before that about acting. But that was really powerful stuff. And I took him up on it, and I left like a week after that. But and he was like, the school is great, the school is wonderful. The grind afterwards is like, there are certain parts for certain people, and if you want to, like, all of the kids in the integrated program are going to end up on cruise ships and in chorus lines. And like, and if you want to do the thing that you want to do, you should go home and take everything that you learned here and go apply it to what you wanted to do. And I was like, yep, I'm in. And I did that. And I'm so happy that you did, because you could have like 6 Tonys right now, and you would not have the impact that you've had in the theater community that you've had with your small community-based and children's-based, youth-based theater in Toronto. Truly, like, that's how special what you do is. So I think that everybody like has their own things, and I'm so glad that you felt a little jaded and felt a little out of love with theater and went home and created this beautiful organization, because that's what you needed to do. And like, and that's amazing. And also, I think it like goes to show, so like this show is called 321 Go, and the name, it's actually where the name of the company came from, 321 Media. It came from the idea of, I was doing an episode of the 5-minute show with somebody, and it was going over as it always does. And I was like, I really love talking to people that just go out and do the stuff that they want to do, and that like chase their dreams, and just have the audacity to do stuff, and have the audacity to change their dreams, and redefine what that means, and like see the signs on the road, and turn off when they need to, and speed up when they need to, and like, and to just like go, and to just like take a break, take a second, think of where you're going, like count to 3, and then go do the thing. And I was like, that's what I should call the show. I should just call the show 321 Go. And then I was like, I should just name the entire company that. So um so that's like that's what I love, and that's something that I've always admired about you, is that you have that spirit, you have that will, and that humility to both bet on yourself and realize when you're not happy and to change directions. And I think that that's amazing. So again, like, huge fan of you, huge fan of everything that Thatz Showbiz does. Uh, my next question for you is this. What do you have going on right now? Because I know that, like, at the beginning of the pandemic and during a bunch of the middle part of it, not even, I don't know when the middle is, but in the middle,
Where's the middle? Where's the beginning? Where's the end?
where is the end is all I care about. But I'm like, I'm kind of aware of when the beginning was, and I'm aware that all of this is the middle, and I would really love to get to the end.
Yeah.
But what have you been doing? What have you been doing recently? I know that you were doing a lot of virtual stuff. What have you been doing recently?
We still are doing a lot of virtual stuff. We recently got a big grant to start transitioning and doing like some hybrid stuff and some stuff in person. So we've started slowly transitioning in person. I mean, we're very like trauma informed and very a disability informed space, and so we're not going to rush anybody into anything. So as long as the online programs work for people, we're going to continue to do them, and it may be forever. Like, it may be something that's always going to work. It was kind of like a blind spot for me, because I had never thought of doing stuff like that. And we've now had people that have come like to our programs, like from the States, from across Canada, from all over, and we're able to join us. And folks that perhaps can't, for whatever reason, come to a studio, even being immunocompromised in general, even outside of a pandemic, sometimes it's hard. So we've had folks that really can't come to a studio able to do our programs. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how come I did not think of this as an access need that was able to be met? And at the same time, that's not everybody. At the same time, some people couldn't do the online programs. So, I mean, it's something that maybe we need to do both. And so right now, I'm really excited. We're doing a series of workshops called Our Stories Through. And what kind of like I think about when doing this type of programming, and I work with a variety of different communities, but specifically with our neurodivergent folks and folks with intellectual disabilities. Sometimes when programming happens, and this is just a generalization, but arts programming or sports or anything like that, it's like, oh, this is something, to get them out of the house, for them to have fun or whatnot. And I was like, there's opportunity here, and I'm here to advocate for casting folks with disabilities in roles written about people with disabilities. You know what I mean? Like, we are so far behind in doing that type of work, and it is really violent, and it's really a threat. And these are folks that are already traditionally underpaid and having jobs taken from them, and then people are getting awards just simply because they're playing folks with disabilities. So it needs to be eradicated. So there's options. Like, you can come to Thatz Showbiz for recreational and community, and that's super, super important. But I also have been always working to train our folks to be able to do that stuff, because these spaces, this training opportunity and education opportunity, is not being offered to these folks to begin with. And so now they're already like a leg behind. So I'm working with, learning what agents in Toronto will take folks with disabilities, and connecting with them, and connecting them with people in the industry, and having folks with disabilities who are in the industry, who are working, coming in and doing workshops and like teaching. Like, we have one coming up called casting actors with disabilities, and so we have a bunch of actors with disabilities coming in. It's a virtual workshop. It's on November 27th, so anybody can join it. And actually, Tal Anderson, who's an incredible performer with autism, and she was on the show Atypical, the Netflix show Atypical. She'll be joining us to answer a few questions. She also is a filmmaker herself. She actually makes and edits films, so she's super amazing. And so she'll be coming to that, as well as a bunch of other facilitators. And we have like dance and movement workshops. We just did a public speaking workshop recently. How to make TikTok theater. So stuff like actual things that are that you can use in daily life, not just to tell your story, which is super, super important, but also if you want to kind of follow this down a career path, you can. And that's how it starts with us. It starts with us being like, yes, you want to be an actor and you have Down syndrome. Why the F not? Like, you know what I mean? And let me make this a space where you learn for real. For real. We're not just here to babysit you. You don't need to be babysat. Like that's just like a common misconception. I'm here to teach you how to be an actor in your own way, and not just me, but facilitators who have Down syndrome and are acting. And we've had them. We know very successful actors who have disabilities, who have come in and taught our classes. So that's like kind of the big thing that's happening right now. And this is huge and really, really important. And I'm really excited about it.
As you should be, because it is huge and it is really important, and it's you know, underserved, like, and I think that my favorite thing about the internet is that it has allowed for all sorts of things to happen and to speed up, and for conversations to be happening about inclusion, because you know there's a reason, like there's a reason that more communities have been able to band together, been able to do things that they've never been able to do before, and that's because of communication. And I think that, like, having the ability to do these things that you're doing right now, where you're able to say, like, we can make an online class, we can make an in-person class, we can do this, we can do that, we can advertise, we can let people know what we are, we can, like, there's so the cost of entry for all of this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, these kids are getting an education, and everybody, they're getting an education that, like, we had to go to New York and pay $60,000 for. And the fact that that's available now, and it's something that is available and open to a kid with Down syndrome who wants to be an actor, whose parents never would have paid $60,000 for them to move to New York City, because that would be for whatever reason, like, that would be an impossible or insurmountable task for them, is able to learn in a safe space with people that care about them, and do not treat them differently. Like, that's beautiful. That is, like, everything about what you do is so powerful. And when I say you, I mean you are the founder and the creator and the main, you know, I don't want to say main force, actually, but you are, like, the central force behind the scenes of it. But you're not the main force, because the main force, and what you've done so beautifully, and what I've gotten to see firsthand, is that the main force of that showbiz, the main force of this incredible program, are the kids and the instructors and the people that are out there doing it themselves. And that's what's really, really awesome. And it's so cool. It's like, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen, which is why every time I do a show, for any reason, I'm like, Sarah, can you be one of my first guests? Because you're, like, the coolest person that I know, and I want to brag about it. So I think that that's amazing. something that you said earlier about theater being a safe space, and that's not always true, obviously, but the in its best moments, theater is a safe space. For the majority of people that felt different in high school or whatever, theater they went to theater and had it be a safe space. Like those are stories that being a theater kid I have heard over and over again. I actually saw a TikTok last night. You talked about being a TikTok creator as a and telling stories on TikTok and doing theater for TikTok. I was there is a TikTok creator. I don't remember his name at the moment, but he always does funny stuff like, like nostalgia posts about the 90s and whatever. And yesterday he posted something where he told a story about how his mom died of cancer when he was in high school, and improv was a really big thing at his high school for some reason. And he wanted to be one of the cool kids, but he wasn't, but he was in a play with all of the cool kids, and his mom was in hospice and she died, and he went after he said goodbye, he went to rehearsal that night because he didn't know what else to do. And all of the cool kids like embraced him and came to the funeral the next week, and like at the funeral, after the funeral, the reception, not during the funeral, asked him like to do improv with them, and that they like saved his life and they gave him purpose, and that they were all like his friends for the next 15 years or whatever. And I was like, that's a story I recognize. That is what theater means to me. Like the first time I fell in love with theater was in 4th grade. My sister died. I was not a popular kid in school. I was 4th grade, so it wasn't that bad, but I was not the most, like, I was lonely, and there was a show that we were doing in 4th grade about a lonely boy who wanted to go and search for friends, and I loved being a part of it. And then in high school, like, my dad had a stroke and I went to rehearsal. I found out my aunt had cancer when I was at rehearsal. Like all of these terrible later when I was running my own theater company, like a childhood friend's sister died, and I was able to like talk to the people in my cast and crew about it and be comforted. Like the level of love and support from the people around you when you're creating something as all encompassing as theater is is immense. And um and it's something that should not be excluded for other, there should be no barrier to entry to that, because it is one of the most powerful experiences you can have. I told kids for years when I was teaching high school drama, like I was the director of high school drama clubs. Theater is like you're on the sports team and you're guaranteed to go to the playoffs and win, because you're gonna have the you're gonna have the show at the end, you're gonna have the championship game, and you're gonna win. But it's all of the camaraderie and all of the stuff that's been celebrated in like movies and TV shows for 50 years of like the high school sports team. It's all of that. It's all of that nostalgia and great stuff, with like with a guaranteed victory at the end, because you're putting it in and you're getting, and like, I don't know. I think that arts education is like a fundamental thing in life, and an opportunity that everybody should have. And it makes me really emotional to think about all of the work that you do with everybody, because some of them are there for the community, some of them are there because they want to be professionals, some of them are there because they're going to take traits that they can go and then do. I don't remember her name, but there is a girl in one of your classes that wanted to do TikTok dances every single week when she signed on. I loved her so
I think
much.
you're talking about Julia, and Julia actually has over 1 million TikTok followers. She's actually viral on TikTok.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was not the case, and that was not the case a year ago.
Yeah, no, it's pretty recent, so it's pretty cool. She uses TikTok to as empowerment. She's got Down syndrome, and so she's a great dancer, and
She's a
so
great dancer, and she's the sweetest kid in the world.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy that that's the other thing. Like, she's able to have 1 million followers on an app because it's 2021 and you can do that, and you can go somewhere like Thatz Showbiz and like be encouraged, you know? Like, I don't like, I hesitate to use the word like empowered because because like I feel like everybody needs to be that, and it feels like something that you're specifically saying to a disenfranchised group of people,
Right.
but like encouraged,
Yeah.
right? If you take away the like the empowerment and the words that like say, and people need encouragement. Everyone needs encouragement. Everyone needs a place to feel safe and a place to feel like they can grow. And I just like, that just made my day that she has 1 million followers on TikTok, because that's all she talked about last year. And I love that so much, because she was just like, "Can I do a TikTok dance in the middle of this show?" And you were like, "Yeah, okay." And like, that's so cool. I want to swear right now. I'm not going to, but I want to swear because that's really effing cool. Like, oh my God, you just made my night.
I'm so glad. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's also just being witnessed, and using that, some of that yes and on our end as well. Like, I don't stand in anybody's way. We do theater so much differently. We do theater. I call it radical accessibility, and it's devised theater, where they get to create. And in the beginning, when I first started the program, I was like, "Why is nobody doing this?" And we'd get in a room and everybody was like, "Sorry, I don't know, what are we supposed to be doing?" Like, and it wasn't, and it's not because these folks had disabilities, but it was because they had never been asked for their opinion before on what they wanted to do. They've been told what to do their whole lives, and it's like, they've never been trusted with creating something. And so here we say you can create your thing, and you get to work on your opinion forming skills, and therefore you also get to work on your self advocacy, because that's also, an issue people with disabilities get taken advantage of a lot. And that's because nobody has ever told them that they can stand on their own 2 feet, create their own thing, and tell their own stories. It's all really huge, and that's the big thing, is being witnessed for who you are. And that's exactly what you're describing. And it's just it's just that, it's just being witnessed. We all just need to be witnessed, all of us. And and it's huge. And some people spend their whole lives not being seen and witnessed. I just read a book with my book club, called Life is a Unicorn, and the person who writes it's a non-binary Muslim drag queen, grew up half their life in Saudi Arabia and then in Britain, and man, like, nobody, uh, everything was just like so much racism, so much like homophobia. Everything was just directed at them, to a point where they were starting to dissociate and be like, I don't think I exist, because I just can't exist in this body. And they wrote a film. They're an actor as well, and they talked about a drama teacher changing their life. And it was like, so I was very biased towards this book. I was like, this is amazing. I love this memoir. And then they wrote a film, literally just, it was like a catharsis about their life and their story and their mother not accepting them. And watching, just being able to watch that as they were directing it, they said, like, if you ever get the opportunity to tell your story and have actors act it out, which is this is a format we use in 3 plays in 30 days, our other program. And we've had some trans youth that have come through that program, who have been totally like been able to validate their experiences where they weren't validated before. And so they were literally describing basically my program, except through a film lens, and being like, and they were advocating, like, if you can ever get the opportunity to like literally just give your story to somebody and watch it, it's literally like this super healing process, because you're being witnessed. And that's huge, because otherwise you disappear. You don't see who you are, because their whole life they were being told, like, no, you can't be gay, no, you can't be this, no, you can't be that, from their parents. And then they turn around and the white kids are like, well, you're a terrorist. The casting directors casting them as a terrorist. Like, it's just like they just couldn't find themselves. So it's a moment just to witness, to be witnessed. So yeah.
Wow. That's it's really powerful. It's like, I find it hard to talk about the stuff that you're doing, because it's like, and you know, and again, I am heaping praise on you, but I'm heaping praise on every single person that participates. And I hope that I hope that that
Oh yeah,
shines
for
through.
sure.
Like, it's 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 awe-inspiring, and yet, like, this is how simple it is. It's not
Yes.
complicated.
Yes.
To be witnessed is not this isn't complicated. I wish that I didn't have to stand up and applaud you for 30 minutes every time I talk to you, because of how impressed I am with everything that you
100%.
do and everybody that is around you does. Like, I wish that this wasn't a thing. I wish that this wasn't cool. I wish that this wasn't novel. But it is right now, and that's something that you also have to accept. Like, it is novel right now, and it is great. But um let me say this, actually, because I think that this is a really good point. Somebody, yeah, the other day, like last week, I did a senior resource fair for a nonprofit in Rhode Island that um all they do as a nonprofit is give information to elders, caregivers, all of that stuff, seniors, caregivers, professionals, and veterans. That's all they do. They distill all of the information from all of the government agencies and everywhere that you can get it, and they give it out. And we were doing a senior resource fair, and I do a lot of work with this organization anyway. And I said to Deb, the executive director of the nonprofit, afterwards, I really wish that every time I'm at one of these things, I really wish that something like this existed 5 years ago, that I could have seen before my parents went into the nursing home, before they got sick, before they passed away. And I, like, maybe I wouldn't be in the mess that I'm in now with like settling their estate and doing all of that, like, unfun stuff, and dealing with the United States healthcare system. And but I was like, I really wish that this existed 5 years ago, so I could have watched this 5 years ago. And she said, yeah, but in 5 years, everybody that's watching this right now won't have to say that. And that's a really good feeling. And for that, I think, like, you know, I say, like, accept the applause and accept the um celebration of this novel idea of treating people like they are equal and should be treated. Like, accept that praise, even though it's uncomfortable, because, like, it's so simple, and shouldn't it just always be this way? I say, like, accept that praise, Sarah, and everyone at Thatz Showbiz, and other organizations like you, because someday, because of the work that all of you are doing, this isn't going to be novel anymore, and it's not going to be a thing, and no one's going to really care, and it's not going to be applauded, because it's an everyday thing. And actors with disabilities will just happen, and all of these things will just happen, and that is astounding, when you are able to help start righting a wrong that never should have been wronged in the first place. But it is, and that's where we are. And I say kudos to you, and my hat is off, and I applaud you guys so much. And I cannot wait for 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when there's a That's Showbiz, not necessarily you, not putting that all on you, but there's a That's Showbiz in every town in America, and every town in Canada, and every town in the world that does theater, because that's the new normal, and that's how it goes. And there isn't even a That's Showbiz, because every community theater has this.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
So yeah. I love you, Sarah. You're amazing.
Oh, I love you too, Ben. I
Um
love doing this. This is so great.
so what can people sign up for right now? What do you got cooking? you know,
Yeah, our stories through workshops. We've got three more left, and two of them are virtual. So if you're not in Toronto, that's totally cool. You can register for the virtual. So the next ones, we've got a dance and movement one, which is in person, coming up on Saturday. They're the next 3 Saturdays. The Saturday after that is our casting actors with disabilities workshop that Tal Anderson's going to be at. So that's definitely one to check out, that we're really, really excited about. And then on Saturday, December 4th, I believe it is, we have our TikTok theater workshop. So those last two are virtual. And so you just go to our website and click on our programs and you'll find them there.
Awesome. And your website is thatshowbiz.com.
Yep, that's with a Z. That's showbiz.com. That's us.
You can see that, and also there's their social media handle.
Yep,
down
Instagram.
Underneath Sarah.
Follow us.
And if you're listening to this or watching it, all of the links are in the description of this episode. Sarah, thank you. It's been a wonderful 15 years being your friend, and I am
Look
greatly
forward to 15 more.
I'm greatly looking forward to 15 more, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation again in 15 years and saying, remember when that was a cool thing and not just the normal thing?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I want.
That warms my heart so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That is one of the best human beings you'll ever meet, Sarah Magni. Please check out Thatz Showbiz at Thatz Showbiz. That's with a Z, biz obviously with a Z. And check out thatshowbiz.com. Again, you can join them from anywhere, not just Toronto. Although if you are in the Toronto area, I highly recommend going and checking them out in person. That's it for this episode. You can find out more information on everything that we do at 321.media. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.